It began with a silence so thick it seemed stitched into the very fabric of the night, the kind of silence that makes you hear the blood inside your head. And in that silence I found myself walking down a road I had never taken before, though it curled around the edges of the same village where I had spent my entire life. And I don't know what possessed me to wander that way after dusk. Perhaps curiosity, perhaps the itch of something that had been calling to me for years without words. Because the old people of the village often muttered about the buried quarter, a place no one marked on maps, where houses had once stood but were swallowed whole by earth long ago. Yet no one dared to guide me there, and no one dared to admit they remembered. And so when I felt the path tilt downward, as though pulling me into a throat of earth itself, my steps grew heavy but my pulse raced, because I had stumbled upon what they had tried so hard to bury. A hollow place hidden by thick trees that arched like ribs over the path, and then the smell came. Wet soil mixed with something sour, as if fruit had rotted for centuries beneath the surface, and my throat tightened though no rot should have survived in such a forgotten hollow. And I swear on that first breath I heard a whisper threaded through the branches above me. But when I lifted my eyes there were only shadows pretending to be faces, hundreds of them, like bark and night conspiring together. And I pressed on because fear is strange. It drives you away from what threatens you, yet deeper into it too, and soon the trees broke open to reveal ruins. Crooked stone foundations like ribs of old homes, leaning beams blackened as if fire had touched them long ago, and in the middle of it all a dry well, but it wasn't the kind of well built for water. Its mouth was too wide, its stones too jagged, and around it the earth was cracked as though something had clawed outward from beneath, not inward. And though I told myself not to look down, my body disobeyed, and I leaned over, and what I saw was not the bottom but a shifting dark that pulsed as though it breathed. And before my mind could form words I heard another whisper, clearer this time. A voice that did not echo up but rather pressed directly against the inside of my skull, saying my name. Not once, but 3 times, stretching the syllables until they felt like threads being pulled from my skin, and I staggered back. But the ground gave way beneath my heels, and I fell into the pit, not like falling into air but like sinking into cold flesh, thick and pulsing, and the darkness swallowed me without sound, until I landed not in soil but on steps, stone steps spiraling downward, slick with some black residue that clung to my fingers when I caught myself. And I should have climbed up, I should have screamed, but above me the mouth of the well had already sealed itself with a lid of shadows, so the only direction left was down, and so I descended, step after step, the whispers multiplying with each turn until they weren't just calling my name but murmuring fragments of things I had never told anyone. Memories of childhood cruelties, small sins I had buried, lies I had spoken, all repeated back in a chorus of voices belonging to people who should not have known them, people long dead, people I had wronged without knowing, and my knees shook because the deeper I went, the more the air smelled not of rot but of blood, fresh blood, metallic and sweet, and when at last the steps delivered me into a chamber, I froze, because what stretched before me was not stone at all but living walls, flesh walls, veined and pulsing, stitched with faces pressing outward, human faces that blinked their eyes without mouths, hundreds of them, each mouthing words I could not hear but I could feel in my marrow, like vibrations of guilt. And in the center of the chamber stood something that was not man and not beast, tall and gaunt, its body sewn together from too many limbs, its skin translucent enough to show a black liquid swirling inside, and when it turned, it had no head, only a chest where a mouth opened, lined with teeth too many to count, and it spoke through that chest mouth, not with sound but with thought, saying, "You were chosen long before you were born, because your blood carries the memory we lost." And before I could protest, it raised a hand stitched from dozens of fingers and pressed it against my forehead, and suddenly I saw it, images flooding my mind faster than I could breathe. The village above, not as it was now but centuries ago, when the people here practiced rites to keep this thing contained, feeding it offerings, sealing its hunger with pieces of themselves. But one family betrayed the pact, tried to bury the truth along with the quarter, and that family was mine. And now the debt had circled back to me, and the whispers rose to screams, demanding flesh, demanding my eyes, my tongue, my spine, and the monster's chest mouth stretched wider until I could see nothing but teeth and blackness, and I realized too late the truth of suspense. It is not about not knowing, but about knowing too much all at once, and still being powerless, and as the walls of the chamber began to pulse faster, faces pushing closer as if to peel themselves free, I ran. Not up, not down, but through a tunnel that appeared where no tunnel had been, and it carried me deeper into darkness, until the voices thinned and silence returned. But in that silence I heard my own heartbeat echo as if the flesh walls had taken it, sinking with it, and when I stumbled forward and finally saw a faint glow, I thought I had escaped. But the glow was only a mirror, standing impossibly in the center of nothing, and when I looked into it, I did not see myself. I saw the monster, its stitched limbs, its chest-mouth whispering endlessly, and then the reflection stepped out, while I remained trapped inside the glass, watching as my own body, now worn by the creature, turned and climbed back toward the surface, ready to walk among the village again, carrying the hunger with it, while I screamed soundlessly inside the mirror, knowing no one above would see me, and no one below would hear me, because suspense is eternal when you are the secret no one will ever be told.